Well, welcome back to our second session on stress management. I just want to take a minute and go over the norms again. Little reminders that only one person talks at a time, we don't interrupt each other, and be respectful. And the main thing is what?
Let's just stay here.
Yeah, that's really important, because if we feel safe in this environment, then we can share more. If we know it's not going to go anywhere else. Okay, so last week, we talked about stress, and I gave you some ideas about, and we talked about some of your ideas about what you do when you feel stress coming on. So over this past week, have any of you tried any techniques or tried anything that helped you this week with stress?
Yeah, listening to music to help focus, and going to the gym.
How many of you listen to music? And what does it do? Just take your mind away, or?
Yeah, well, pretty much like I can get my mind off of what I'm stressing on and put it on to what I need to focus on, and music just keeps it going to where I'm only focused on that one thing.
What about going to the gym? What's that do?
It alleviates my mind, so I'm not thinking of anything but the gym at the time.
Do you think too that just getting physically work out and tired, that kind of helps get some of that out? Because it seems like with stress, there's also this adrenaline buildup that doesn't have anywhere to go.
It kind of feels like you can sweat out your impurities.
Wow, that's cool. You should make a little saying like that. Anyone else want to share anything, or did any of you try anything new that you haven't tried before yet? Or maybe we'll try something this week.
Being outside is like very unstressful. You just feel like, oh, it's nice outside, and working outside is good.
Did you do some of that this week?
Just like working home and work outside is better.
That's nice. Especially this nice weather, even.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it'll last for long, but
Yeah. That is
Great.
nice.
Well, I just want to talk to you a little bit about stress, and then I'm going to really turn the time over to you and have you guys do some thinking and talking about stress relieving, since we know what they are, what the stressors are. But did you know that stress can be good and bad?
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Yeah, it can. Stress, if we have a deadline, I know some of you have deadline for an essay or other tests that are coming up, finals that are coming up. That stress can push you to get things done. So in that way, it is good for you. Without stress, you might not do as well. So stress helps people get things done. But too much stress, especially over a long period of time, can be bad. And when people are unable to stop their stress response from running overtime, their body does not have a chance to rest and restore. Maybe some of you have felt that way without being unable to sleep at night sometimes, having even kept awake. So that's kind of the stress running overtime, and that kind of stress is not good. It's too much. This can add up, and suddenly the signs of overload hit, and turning short-term stressors into long-term stress. So when this happens, there may be even more physical signs of stress. Things like headache, eating too much or not at all, tossing and turning all night, or just feeling down and angry all the time. All these signs are of long-term stress, and they start when a person cannot deal with smaller, stressful situations. So that's why it's so important for us to learn how to deal with the smaller stress, so they don't turn into that. When you've gotten to the point where you're tossing and turning all night, you're kind of in a spot where you might need some help with that, or help yourself with that. So it can also affect how you feel about yourself. So it's important to learn to deal with it as it comes. No one is completely free of stress. Everyone out here is dealing with some kind of stress. So, and different people respond differently. We've seen that some people get angry, they might kick something, or they might just retreat and go into themselves, or eat a lot, or not eat at all. So everyone reacts differently to it. So the main thing to know is to be able to spot it when it's happening to you. Spot that, so that then you can start working on it. Sometimes, how many of you feel like you didn't even know you were stressed, but you were stressed? So what do you think of some unhealthy ways that both kids and adults sometimes use to deal with stress? What do they do for it?
Alcohol and
smoking.
Being angry.
You
I
feel-
think as an adult, taking it out on their children.
Yeah.
Not really necessarily meaning to, but it just happens. I feel like parents make problems for that, not make problems for their kids, but they shed their problems down to their kids.
Do you have an example of something that you've seen or you've witnessed yourself?
Well, my dad's always stressing about money, and so that makes me feel like I can't ask for certain things that I need, so I'll just go without.
I actually experienced it yesterday. My mom was having she fought with my dad. Well, fought. It's always something about money because they're divorced and stuff. And so I got angry and I was like, you can't keep stressing me out with it. Like, it's between you and my dad, like, I don't want to be put in the middle. And like, she cried and I felt bad, but I mean, it's just, I'm not in the relationship, So that was part of my stress yesterday.
What was she doing to you?
Like, she was telling me, because my dad only comes certain days, so on Fridays he's coming, and she's all, oh, I don't want him coming on the house to pick you up somewhere else and stuff. And then I was like, really, like, you don't have to tell me this, And then she's all, and she started yelling at me and all these things, and yeah, it was bad.
How did it end up?
At the end, she actually apologized because she realized that I was like being truthful because I'm not in the relationship, I mean, I love both parents, but I can't be put in the middle, So.
Did you feel different levels of stress as that whole, like, you probably started out calm, then it hit like a peak,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
did it kind of calm down at the end when it went through its cycle?
Yeah.
Do you remember the most stressful point of that?
I think it was when I had both of my parents like fight and I was there listening, and I think that's when I just like exploded and told them stuff.
Oh, is this another time?
Yeah.
You told them things. Did that end it for them? Did they stop?
Yeah.
So that stress relief for you was to explode.
Yeah, I know.
Want to say anything?
Honestly, like, I feel not stressed at all. Like, I don't know if it's because, like, everything's already done. Like, I don't like thinking about future things. That's what I think people get stressed out about. I just don't think about it. I think about now, like, what am I doing now? Like, now what am I going to do tomorrow? That's how I keep stress-free, I guess.
So it's one step at a time, one day at a time.
Like, you can get caught up in, like, thinking about the future, like, oh, like, next week I have this, next week I have this, but that's what stresses you out the most. If you just think about right now, like, oh, what should I do right now? Like, you'd only think about that moment.
So she's in the moment, she's in the present. Do any of you do that too, do you think?
I think that's
my
my
main
main cause of stress is thinking about it in the future. Yeah. And it'd be better just to think about it one step at a time.
The future stresses us out.
When I think about my future, I feel a lot more happier than I do thinking about my present because I have big plans and big goals for my future. And so I just see myself being successful and just doing well when I get older, so I look at it as a really positive thing. It's not something that, I know there's like a lot I have to do to get there, but it's not something that stresses me out. Because I know that I'll deal with it when it happens, but it's going to end up really well for me.
So in your days right now, your future's going to be bright. So right now, do you kind of try to live in the moment right now, or do you kind of look beyond it then?
I feel like I live in the moment as far as if something needs to get done, even if it needs to get done in a few days, I just try to get it done. Because, as I said, that's just taking steps to a better future. So it's not stressing me out because I know that I'm getting somewhere.
Nia, do you feel like you live you're focusing a lot in the future?
Like,
How far ahead do you think you're focusing?
Just like a week. At
A
least.
week and
Like,
a week.
I have certain times. Like, always thinking about times, like time frames. I have 10 minutes to do this, 30 minutes to get there, 20 minutes to do this. I was thinking about time frames.
Juliana, do you feel like you live in the present, or you kind of...
I don't know, sometimes, but then sometimes I would think about my future and my goals.
So when you're feeling about, I'm hearing a lot of you talk about the future does bring a little bit of stress thinking about that. So you try to try to stay where you are right now in the present so you can just get those things done step by step. What things do you use to help you stay in the present?
Ignorance.
Hmm?
Ignorance. Just ignore it.
Just put it out of your mind completely.
I do that a lot. I think I can't admit.
You said to stay in the present. Deadlines.
Or like
Meaning-
procrastinating.
Meaning, like, I know that this is due on this day, so right now I gotta get this done. That's how I feel about most things.
I don't know. Just stay in the present, you said? Kind of just limit myself to things.
We talked about there are positive stress and negative stress. So you have this paper in front of you and it's about stress and responses. So I want you to take some time this week. We're going to just do the first one together and then you guys can work on this and we'll meet back here. We'll talk about it later. But I want you to try to think of some positive responses to stress. That's what we're focusing on, the positive responses to stress. So let's say the stressor says having too much homework. Some of you are facing that right now with grades coming due. So what's a positive response to too much homework?
Do one thing at a time.
One thing at a time. Okay, if you want to write that one down, one thing at a time. Any other ideas for positive response?
Have something waiting for you that's good.
Like a treat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, reward for getting it done. Okay. Any other ideas for a positive response to too much homework?
Do it on time.
Get it done?
Yeah.
Get it done.
Get it done before you go play and do something else? Anything else? Any other ideas? Maybe if you have classmates who are doing the same thing, maybe you guys organize a group and split it up somehow or work together on it somehow, if it's allowed by your teacher, of course. Anything else you want to add? What are some negative responses to homework?
Ignoring it.
Okay. Ignoring, procrastinating, last minute. Anything else?
Not your best work.
Yeah, I'm performing poorly on it.
Poor performance. What about something more inside too about your attitude toward it? I mean, is being angry about it or upset about it going to change the fact that you have homework?
No.
So I just remember this little story one time that my daughter spread her breakfast cereal all over the entire kitchen. She threw the bowl and it went over everything. And I was going to have to wash every cupboard door and the floor and everything. And she was little, didn't know really what she did. And I thought, you know, I could be sitting here crying right now and angry that I'm going to have to clean up everything. And instead I just started laughing. Even though I didn't really feel like laughing, I thought I'm going to force myself to laugh. I'm going to try that technique, just to laugh through it. And it really worked. The work was still there, but I was laughing. And she was happier and I was happier too. So I don't know. I know that you guys use music and things like that maybe to help you. Maybe a positive response would be able to do something happy while you're working. Okay, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Next week I'm really excited because we're going to do a in-seat meditation. While you're seated, you're going to learn a technique. Okay, thank you so much.